Hello, thank you for tuning into this installment of Herp Corner. In this episode, we will be discussing the origin, fun facts, and general care of the red worm lizard. They are actually a species of legless lizard. The reason why they meet the criteria of a lizard and not a snake is that their nostrils and skeletal structures compared to snakes are very different. The first species of red worm lizard was discovered by a Swedish zoologist, botanist, and physician named Carl Linnaeus. This creature was discovered in 1758 within the island of Trinidad, Venezuela, and some parts of Argentina. They've never been close to extinction, thankfully. Now for some fun facts. There isn't much information on them available at this current date, so my apologies if the info I provided here is rather unfun. Number 1. The red worm lizard isn't sexually dimorphic. This means that the males are almost indistinguishable from the females. Number 2. An odd defense mechanism of the species would be how, when one is threatened, it will pose in the shape of a horseshoe and lift its head and tail in the air. Number 3. The skin of the red worm lizard is very tough and almost bite-proof. Number 4. The anatomy of a red worm lizard is more akin to a worm than a common snake. This is mostly because of the underdeveloped eyes, but there are more subtle traits that point to this. Number 5. This lizard is closely related to bipes, or the Mexican mole lizard. An episode on those little monsters is coming in the future, don't worry. Number 6. People often confuse the red worm lizard, as well as other species in the Amphisbaena group, with earthworms, and I can't really blame them. Number 7. These worm lizards use a thick secretion in order to both mark territory and reproduce. When making a territory, they will make a trail out of it, similarly to that of a snail or slug. You can find red worm lizards for sale nowhere. I've never seen one of these at a reptile show. There aren't any for sale online, and there's a very scarce amount of information on them online. And this sucks because they're such an odd-looking species that I, and possibly you, would love to learn more about. Thankfully, based on their environment and nature and the sources of food that are mentioned on the Wikipedia page, I can make an educated guess on what type of care they'd require. In captivity, good food choices would probably ants, roaches, both adults and nymphs, mealworms or superworms, and crickets. They're omnivores, so a mixed diet of these bugs as well as greens would probably be suitable. Basically, the diet of a bearded dragon. The enclosure, however, would probably need some type of heat source, heat pad or heat lamp, and loose substrate for burrowing. Other animals that are native to Argentina require heat sources, burrowing opportunities, humid hides, and varied diets, aside from the snakes. So from this we can guess that it is similar for the red worm lizard. The enclosure should probably be around 30 gallons. Even though the red worm lizard only gets to 13 inches long, a few inches of substrate should be included, along with hides, climbing enrichment, and a water bowl big enough for them to soak in, but shallow enough so that they don't drown. And that concludes this episode. Thank you for listening, or watching, or whatever. Your support means a lot to me, and I'm pretty happy with the amount of encouragement I got in my last videos, even though the amount wasn't large.